When I walked into the arrivals hall at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, I immediately noticed how cold the terminal felt compared to the mild autumn weather I had just left in Amsterdam. I watched other passengers run into the arms of their families while I stared at my phone screen. The family group chat showed my message from 20 minutes earlier. Just landed. Terminal South. Below it, I could see that everyone had read it. No replies. No welcome home messages. Nothing. I stood there for 15 minutes, searching the crowd for my mother's auburn hair or my father's tall figure. Someone. Anyone. But nobody came. After 6 years living abroad, I still hoped that maybe this time would be different. I pulled out my phone and ordered a ride. The $70 trip to the suburbs gave me too much time to think. The driver did not speak, and I spent the entire ride looking out the window at a city that felt both familiar and completely foreign. We passed the diner where my father taught me to love pecan waffles when I was 8. We drove by the grocery store where my mother used to argue with me about which brands to buy. We went through the park where I learned to skateboard. Everything looked the same, but something fundamental had shifted. When we pulled up to my childhood home, I saw a perfect holiday wreath hanging on the front door with an elaborate red bow. I paid the driver, grabbed my bag, and walked up the path I had walked 1,000 times before. I opened the door and stepped inside. The laughter from the dining room stopped immediately. I looked at the table and felt my stomach drop. Every chair was filled. Every place setting was occupied. There was no seat for me. No empty chair. No extra plate. Nothing that suggested they expected me at all. My Aunt Carol looked up from her wine glass and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Well, look who finally decided to drop by." My cousin Brad did not even look up from cutting his steak. "Nobody missed you, bud," he said casually, like he was commenting on the weather. I stood there in the doorway with my bag still in my hand. My mother walked over quickly and whispered close to my ear, "Please do not make a scene, Ethan. We have guests." I went to the kitchen and found a plastic bowl in the cabinet. I scooped some cold mashed potatoes from a container in the refrigerator and ate standing up by the counter. Through the doorway, I could hear someone suggesting they take a family photo. I started to walk toward them, but my Uncle Dave held up his hand like a traffic cop. "You have been gone so long we forgot you were even family," he said with a laugh that a few others joined. I set down the bowl, walked to the front door, and left. Nobody asked where I was going. Nobody followed me outside. My name is Ethan Carter. I am 31 years old. I grew up in a comfortable suburb east of Atlanta where people measured success by the size of their houses and the exclusivity of their club memberships. For most of my childhood, I thought we were a close family. My father, Robert, ran a small but successful law practice. My mother, Linda, chaired various committees and organized charity events. Our holidays were always loud and crowded. Everything changed when I was 22 and received an acceptance email from the Amsterdam Institute of Design. They offered me a full scholarship to study sustainable architecture. I was sitting in my old bedroom on a hot Georgia afternoon when I got the news. My father lifted me off the floor in a bear hug. My mother cried happy tears. For a while, I was the success story they loved to share at the country club. "Our Ethan is in Europe," they would say, "working on sustainable architecture." But pride has a short shelf life when you are not physically present. Months became years. I missed some weddings and a few baby showers because I was building my career. The time difference made phone calls difficult. I would try to video chat, but nobody seemed to answer anymore. Then the comments started. Little digs in text messages. "Too good for us now?" And "Amsterdam must be making you forget your roots." What they never understood was that I had become their invisible support system. From my small apartment overlooking a canal in Amsterdam, I built their entire digital infrastructure. I created password managers for all their accounts. I organized their banking folders and tax templates. I set up spreadsheets for the country club donations. I automated their bill payments and created shared calendars. I built everything they needed to function in a modern world. When something broke at 2 in the morning their time, they would text me and I would fix it from 6 time zones away. They treated this work like it was nothing, like I owed them this service simply for being related. When I decided to come home for Thanksgiving, I thought maybe we could start fresh. Maybe we could actually talk. My best friend from high school, Emily Brooks, was the first person to reach out when she saw I was back in Atlanta. She texted me the night after that awful Thanksgiving dinner. I was staying in a cheap motel in Decatur. She showed up with pizza and bottled water and let me talk for 2 hours without interrupting once. "Whatever happens next," she said before she left, "you are not alone in this." I believed her. I had no idea how much I would need to hold on to those words. I woke up before sunrise the next morning and drove back to my parents' house. Nobody was awake yet. I went into the garage and turned on the overhead light. What I saw made my chest tighten. Cardboard boxes were stacked in the corner. Each one had a label in black marker: Ethan's books, Ethan's awards, Ethan's stuff. Every single label had been crossed out with thick black lines. Fresh boot prints in the dust led from the door to where my aunt stored her craft supplies. Everything else in that corner was covered in a thick layer of dust, like nobody had touched it in months. I went upstairs to my old bedroom. The door was open. The lavender walls I had painted when I was 17 were now painted a pale green. My old desk was gone. In its place sat my Aunt Carol's sewing machine. Yarn and fabric covered the floor. Every one of my architectural sketches from university was gone. The pennant I had pinned above my bed was missing. It was not my room anymore. It was not even close. I remembered a conversation with my mother from a few weeks earlier when I told her I was coming home. "Your aunt needed the space, Ethan," she had said. "You are never here anyway." Downstairs, I found the family calendar hanging by the coffee maker. In my mother's neat handwriting, there was an entry from 2 months ago that said, "Ethan home." The question mark felt deliberate. Someone had drawn a red line through it and written in different handwriting, "Craft fair with Carol." I took my house key off my keychain and left it on the kitchen counter. The small metallic sound it made felt final. By noon, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Uncle Mark needed the HOA complaint templates. Aunt Carol could not find the quarterly donor spreadsheet. Brad wanted help accessing his tax folders. My father sent a message that just said, "Call me." I ignored all of them. The silence that followed was immediate and loud. It was like cutting power to a building. First confusion, then panic, then anger. I spent the afternoon in the motel room staring at the ceiling. My phone kept buzzing with increasingly urgent messages. Finally, Emily texted me. "Pearl Street Diner. Coffee on me. 15 minutes." I went. The diner was warm and busy. Emily was already sitting in a booth with 2 cups of coffee waiting. I sat down and told her everything. About the garage. About my room. About the calendar. About the key I left behind. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said something I will never forget. "They trained you to carry their problems. You stopped carrying them. That is not cruelty. That is just clarity." My phone vibrated on the table between us. Messages stacked on the screen. My mother, "Please stop being dramatic." Aunt Carol, "You owe this family basic respect." Uncle Dave, "Your little trip is over. Handle the forms." Brad, "Where are the tax documents, man? I am serious." My father, "We have bills due. Fix this now." Between the family messages, I saw notifications from the financial apps I had set up for them. Automatic payments that now needed manual approval. Account authorizations I used to approve from Amsterdam in the middle of my night so they would never have to think about it. Then I saw an email from Mr. Whitman, my late grandfather's attorney. It was a reminder about the Carter Family Trust winter disbursement. The trust required signatures from all qualifying grandchildren before any money could be distributed. I knew this, of course. I had read the trust documents years ago. But seeing that email in the middle of all their demands made something click into place. They had not contacted me because they missed me. They contacted me because they needed my signature to access their money. I felt anger replace the confusion and hurt I had been carrying. For the first time in years, I felt completely clear about what needed to happen. "What if they cut you off completely?" Emily asked. They already did, I said. They just do not realize it yet. I opened a new message to the family group chat and typed carefully. I will not provide any access or signatures without a written apology from each of you. The apologies must acknowledge specific ways you disrespected me. After that, we will begin family therapy with a licensed counselor for at least 6 months. A professional mediator will be present at all future financial meetings. These boundaries are not negotiable. I looked at the message for a long moment. Then I hit send. The first small victory came the next morning. I woke up to an overdraft notice that had been sent to Uncle Mark's email, which I still had access to. Aunt Carol left a frantic voicemail about missing quarterly reports. Brad sent a string of increasingly creative insults because the IRS portal did not recognize his login anymore. Without the templates and systems I had built, nothing worked smoothly. That had never been an accident. It had been by design. I made coffee in the motel room and watched the messages pile up. Then I opened my laptop and checked in with my real life. My team in Amsterdam was waiting for our morning meeting. Anika had sent a message asking if I was okay. Liam wanted to know if the Oslo client review had been rescheduled. I told them the truth. I am building new boundaries here. Everything is fine. At 10 in the morning, I received an email from Mr. Whitman. It was short and professional. Per the trust instrument, winter disbursements require unanimous consent of all eligible grandchildren, including you, Mr. Carter. No exceptions can be made to this requirement. 2 minutes later, my father called. I am at the office with my attorney, he said. His voice was clipped and formal. Sign the trust papers. We can discuss apologies later. No, I said. My voice was calm. Apologies first. Therapy scheduled. Mediator agreed upon. Then we can talk about money. You are being completely unreasonable. I was reasonable for 6 years, I said, and ended the call. I met Emily for lunch and showed her Mr. Whitman's email. She smiled. Let them feel the gap you filled, she said. People only respect what they notice. On my way back to the motel, I received a text from Mrs. Jenkins, our neighbor from when I was growing up. I saw the Thanksgiving photo they posted online. You were not in it. That was cruel, honey. I am proud of you for standing up for yourself. I did not know how badly I needed to hear that until I read it. The meeting was scheduled for the following week. I walked into a downtown office building with marble floors and expensive art on the walls. My father's attorney was a man with silver hair and an expression that suggested he had never been surprised by anything in his life. He slid a pen across the conference table toward me. Let us be practical, Mr. Carter, he said. Sign here. This is a petition for emergency access to certain shared accounts. It is temporary, purely procedural. I looked down at the document. My name was printed at the bottom of a form I had not written and did not understand. My mother sat next to the attorney. She wore a silk scarf and would not look at me. Aunt Carol clutched her leather planner. Brad scrolled through his phone and smirked. Your family needs access to their own funds, the attorney continued. Your refusal is, at best, immature. I flipped through the packet slowly. This is the third version of this document you have shown me, I said. My answer is still no. Brad leaned back in his chair. You are losing followers over this tantrum. 'Cause losing patience too, Aunt Carol added. My mother finally looked up. Ethan, please. The winter gala is next week. I cannot access the donor list. The donor list I created, I said. The one I maintained for 6 years while being called selfish for living my own life. My father's jaw tightened. Son, I am not your employee, I said. I stood up and my chair scraped loudly against the quiet floor. And I am not signing anything today. I walked out. On the sidewalk outside, the cold air hit me hard. My phone buzzed. Aunt Carol had already posted something on social media about entitled family members who abandon their roots. I scrolled through the comments. For once, not everyone agreed with her. Some people were asking questions. Some were pointing out inconsistencies. I kept walking. That night, lying in the motel bed, I felt hollow. like I had carried this fight across an ocean only to discover nobody was actually on my side. When I need to think clearly, I cook. In Amsterdam, I learned to make simple food with intention. So I went to a corner store, bought eggs and bread, and made breakfast at the small counter in my motel room. While I ate, I opened the trust file on my laptop again. My grandfather had made notes in the margins of the original documents. Do not confuse peace with silence. Teach them to earn it. If the money breaks us, we never deserved it. I took out a legal pad and wrote down what I could actually live with. Not what they would accept. Not what would make them happy. What would let me sleep at night and look at myself in the mirror. Written apologies from each family member who disrespected me. Specific apologies, not vague statements. Delivered directly to me and posted publicly on their social media accounts. Mandatory family therapy for 1 full calendar year with a licensed therapist. Attendance must be documented. A professional mediator present at all future family financial meetings. Meeting notes must be shared with all parties. Clear boundaries on communication. No more midnight emergencies for things that are not actually emergencies. No guilt trips. No name-calling. No using other people to send messages. My entire winter disbursement from the trust redirected to the Youth Build Studio in Amsterdam. This is a program that funds working-class kids who want to learn design. I do not need the money from the trust. I will not let it buy my silence. I read the list twice. It still sounded like something I could stand behind. My colleague Anika sent me a message. Amsterdam misses you. Stay as long as you need. Or come back and we will make space. Your choice. I wrote back, thank you. 2 simple words that meant more than I could explain. Then I wrote an email to Mr. Whitman and copied my entire family. The subject line read, Terms for Reconciliation and Cooperation. The body was short and clear. I attached my list of requirements. I asked for responses in writing within 7 days. Before I hit send, I sat there looking at the screen. Then I pressed send and closed my laptop. The rebellion did not look dramatic. It looked like discipline. I changed the passwords I controlled, following proper security protocols, and left clear audit logs because I do not do anything carelessly. I archived their files securely and legally. I created documentation showing exactly what they would need to do if they wanted to manage their own systems. Then I closed my laptop and went for a run in the cold air. That afternoon, Aunt Carol appeared at my motel room door. Her voice was softer than usual. Sweetheart, let us be reasonable about this, she said. Her pearls sat perfectly against her sweater. Her smile looked practiced. The family needs you. The family needs my signature, I said. There is a difference. You would really do this to your own mother? I am doing this for my own well-being. She made a disapproving sound. I hope you can live with yourself. I do, I said. Every morning. I closed the door. My phone exploded with group chat messages. Panic about bills. Fury about the trust. Thinly veiled threats about withholding love. I forwarded the most aggressive messages to Mr. Whitman. He replied within minutes. Your boundaries are lawful and appropriate. Any attempts at coercion will be documented. Then something unexpected happened. Support started appearing from places I had not anticipated. Mrs. Jenkins commented on Aunt Carol's social media post. Maybe you should apologize to the young man you erased from your table. My former Sunday school teacher wrote a long post about healthy boundaries. Even one of my mother's bridge club friends commented, I heard he came home to find no seat at Thanksgiving dinner. That seems cruel. Emily texted me a photo. It showed her apartment with a long table and mismatched chairs. A handwritten sign read, Friendsgiving. No guilt served. She wrote, There is a seat here with your name on it. For the first time in over a week, I felt like I could breathe properly. We scheduled a video call because that is how my family prefers to handle difficult conversations now. Clean, controlled. Everyone on mute until it is their turn to speak. I joined the call 5 minutes early and prepared a screen share folder. I titled it Documentation. They joined one by one. My father from his office. My mother from the kitchen. Aunt Carol from her craft room. Brad from his car. Uncle Mark from what looked like a break room. Nobody smiled. Nobody said hello. "Let us keep this simple," my father started. "You sign the trust papers today. We can discuss apologies afterward." "No," I said. I started screen sharing. I showed them the text messages first. 6 years of "fix this now," and "what is the password," and "do this for me," with my responses timestamped at 2 and 3 in the morning Amsterdam time. Then I showed them the country club donor spreadsheet I had built and maintained, demonstrating how dependent my mother had become on my work. Then I pulled up Brad's past due tax notices from last year, the ones I had quietly handled when he forgot about quarterly estimates. He stopped smirking. I played a voicemail from Aunt Carol from last Christmas. Her voice came through the speakers clearly. "You are dead to me if you cannot even bother to fly home and pose for one family photo." She stopped talking. "This is not a trial," my father said. "This is a record," I replied. "Enough." My mother's voice cracked. "We are saying we are sorry. You are saying you want access to your accounts," I said. "Those are not the same thing." I shared my written terms on the screen. I read each requirement out loud. I ended with my decision about the trust disbursement. "I am donating my full share to the Youth Build Studio in Amsterdam," I said. "I do not want your money. I want respect." Brad laughed. It sounded forced. "Public apologies? By midnight tonight? You are insane." "Then there will be no disbursement," I said. I stopped sharing my screen. The silence stretched out. Finally, my mother spoke. "If we do this," she said quietly, "will you come home for Christmas?" "I will come home when we treat each other with kindness," I said. "Not just because there is a holiday." I told them they had until midnight. Then I left the call. I went to Emily's Friendsgiving dinner and sat between people who used my name like it meant something. At 10:14 in the evening, my phone buzzed. The first apology video had been posted. By 11 o'clock, there were 4 videos. By 11:59, there were 7. They were awkward and unscripted and real because there was no other option left. I forwarded the confirmations to Mr. Whitman. I completed the paperwork to redirect my trust disbursement to the Youth Build Studio. Their website updated the next morning showing the donation. I watched the funding counter increase in real time. Justice did not feel like victory. It felt like relief. 6 months have passed since that night. I am back in Amsterdam now. Snow falls past the white lights strung along my street. My apartment is small but comfortable. Tonight, my team is crowded around my dining table. Liam and Anika are arguing about a facade detail for our latest project. Our friend Noor is setting up a playlist. I adjust the table runner I bought from a market in Stockholm last month and feel genuinely happy about how everything looks. My architecture studio has doubled in size without any help from country club connections. We signed a contract for sustainable civic spaces in 3 different cities. Our company motto is "Build Honest." It is etched into the glass door of our office. Those words mean more to me now than when I first wrote them. My phone buzzes. It is my mother, sending a private message instead of posting in the family group chat that I muted months ago. "I watched one of the Youth Build Studio students present her design project today. Mr. Whitman sent me the video link. I think I understand a little better now why this mattered to you." I type several different responses and delete them all. Finally, I settle on, "Thank you for telling me that. Understanding is a process, not a single moment." Emily sends me a photo of her new apartment. The table is bigger now with even more mismatched chairs. "Always a seat for you here," she writes. I send her back a picture of tonight's dinner. Smoked fish next to cornbread casserole. It looks chaotic and perfect. Do I talk to my family now? Yes. But with boundaries that everyone understands. They attend therapy because the mediator checks attendance records. The public apologies are still visible on their social media accounts. Aunt Carol is quieter in group settings. My father is more careful about what he labels as urgent. Brad hired an accountant who is not related to him. My mother sends fewer group messages and more individual texts that sound like her actual voice instead of her committee chairwoman voice. My grandfather's voice still appears in my head sometimes when I am reviewing a project. Teach them to earn it. I think we did that, or at least we started. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel.